Hello everyone, this is Bruce. I recently posted a video showing my first dry pour concrete slab, but I was trying to build an entryway slab in front of my off-grid workshop or this backyard shed so that I don't have to deal with the gravel when I'm going in and out of the shed and just make it a little bit nicer. During that dry concrete pour video, I made a lot of mistakes. One big mistake and then several other little mistakes. And the overall outcome of those mistakes was I ended up with a very rough finish on my first time dry pour concrete slab. So in this video, I'm going to show you a remedy or a solution that I came up with using mostly materials that I already had on hand. And maybe some of you can learn from this, or maybe it'll just inspire you to do something with your rough finished dry pour concrete slab if you're not happy with the rough finish that a dry pour will typically leave. If you haven't seen my dry pour concrete slab video with all the mistakes that I made in it and you want to go check that out so you can avoid making those mistakes yourself, I'll link that video at the end of this video, and I'll also put a link to it in the description of this video. Now, in the title of this video, I called it a failure, and I don't really mean it was a complete failure because the slab itself actually has pretty good integrity to it, even though it's only 1.5 inches thick. But this is just for light foot traffic. I don't intend on parking anything or driving anything heavy over the top of this slab. And I just wanted to have a nice paved area for the entrance of the off-grid workshop. By the word failure, what I mean is it just had a rough appearance to the top. I wasn't really happy with the look of it. And I'll show you a few close-ups, and ended up with some cracks in the front edge where I had the thickest Portland cement, which was the biggest mistake I made when I actually originally poured the dry pour concrete slab. Now, I'm not putting down dry pour in general. I still think it's definitely got its use for different scenarios or for specific scenarios, such as a sidewalk or a walkway or some pavers or something like that, where it's foot traffic and so forth. I think it actually will be a pretty good solution. It's just my first time pour, I consider it a failure. I'm just not happy with the finish. So let's get into this build, and I'll show you how I actually got a better look on my dry pour concrete slab failure. So I have a pretty good supply of some salvaged Trex deck planks that have been laying around here. They came with the house as an old deck was removed from my backyard at one point in time before I bought the home. And I thought it'd be a great solution for this problem. So I decided to utilize some of this Trex decking to cover the dry pour concrete slab. Now the dry pour slab is 10 feet wide, so I cut these boards almost 11 inches wider than the concrete slab. And I'll show you why I did that a little bit later in this build. For this project, the only items I had to buy was I bought a 4x8 sheet of this vinyl lattice and some weather-resistant decking screws. And then I cut the lattice into the pieces that I'll be needing for this project. And the lattice will be used to tie the Trex deck boards together and keep their spacing and alignment, as I don't intend to screw any of the Trex decking actually down to the dry pour concrete slab. Since the Trex deck boards are pretty heavy, especially in about 11-foot lengths, I decided that I would just do this Trex deck cover in 3 different sections since I'm working on this Trex deck project alone. And here you can see how I used the vinyl lattice to connect the Trex deck boards together using screws. And this lattice is UV resistant, and I think it'll work out pretty good. I couldn't use other additional Trex deck boards for this step because I didn't have the clearance between the top of the dry pour slab and the bottom of the barn doors on the workshop. Using this method, I've only raised the Trex deck boards about 1/8 of an inch off of the top of the concrete slab. So if you're considering doing something like this, you can use this as a technique for a low clearance type Trex deck cover over concrete, or dry pour concrete in this case. Now this Trex deck overlay over the concrete is going to have close to 6 inches on each side overhanging the concrete slab, and then it'll overhang the front edge of the slab by about 1 inch. So I had to cut a special piece that's about 1.25 inches, 1.5 inches wide in order to make it fit properly. And here you can see the method where I used the vinyl lattice in order to connect that little 1 inch, 1.5 inch strip. And I decided to put that 1 inch strip across the back edge of the overlay. Now here I'm going to cut 2 boards about 5 feet in length, and these are going to go underneath the ends to tie those 3 panels together, as well as kind of act as a stop against the top of the dry pour slab in order to keep the Trex deck from sliding off the side back and forth, and just give it more stability, since I wasn't going to actually screw it down to the concrete slab or to the dry pour slab. This way I'll be able to remove this if I have any problems with the slab in the future. And here's what the finished project looked like before I actually put all the gravel back in place. And then I'll show you what it looks like after I completely leveled out the gravel up against the Trex deck over the dry pour concrete slab. So which do you like better? The before look of the failed dry pour concrete slab with the rough finish, or with the Trex deck overlay over the top of the dry pour concrete slab? Let me know in the comments what you think about the project, what the final outcome looks like, and which one you like better. If you want to see the original video where I poured the dry pour concrete slab with all the mistakes, I'll link it here. You can click on the video that's on the screen now to see that one, and we'll see you over there.